Hello, sweet sisters. I am tuning in here today on Thursday. I have been extremely busy this week with lots of programs. I have taught people from 14 different countries. It's been a bit of a crazy week. I apologize I wasn't on here as much, but I have not forgotten you all. So I am jumping on to share some very specific things with you this week. I was worn out this week, and I've talked to many who are saying the same kind of thing, that they are also worn out this week. Anybody feeling that? Lots of energy swirling in the world. A lot of energy swirling in the world. Good morning, sweet sisters. Good morning, Sarah. So I jumped on early today because I think I'm going to pass out for the day. It's been a very busy week, and I'm going to actually chill for the rest of the afternoon because my brain is foggy. So as I was thinking about what were the messages for us today, I was led to go back to my journal. So I have been journaling for the past 25 years. It's been part of my ongoing process to overcome an eating disorder. It's been something that I learned in life. And to be honest with you, hello Zena and Darlene. To be honest with you, what I've learned is that the journal has been not only very cathartic for me, but it's really fun to go back. Fun being an interesting word. It's interesting to go back a year in the past and see what was I writing and thinking about a year ago. It gives you a lot of input as to what was happening in the world and how I was handling things happening in the world. And you see growth over a number of years. So this particular session, I felt like I was going to dive in and share with you some insight that I have received from my divine team. So for those in my sphere of influence that that become uncomfortable when I talk about my divine team, this would be your invitation to jump off the video because I'm going to be talking about the divine team. So what's happened, my journey over the past 10 years, and I've mentioned this several times to all of you, that I have a very deep faith. And I genuinely believe that we all have the ability to connect to the divine source, and we can actually download information, download messages. For some of us, that happens in the middle of the night. For others of us, it happens when we're in meditation or in prayer. But this has been a very important part of my life, and it's been a skill set. It's been a muscle that I've actually worked on over the past 10 years. We all have the ability to do this. Some people that don't have any connection to the spiritual or to the cosmic side of things, they have no understanding of what it's like to plug into that. So literally, the book I wrote, Your Lion Inside, I wrote most of it in the middle of the night. For some reason, my intuitive self and my divine team like to chat, or maybe that's simply when I heard it the most, it would come in the middle of the night. So I've been downloading messages for the past year, and I went back to my journal. And I went back to last February. I wanted to see where we were. And I went back to last March. And because I knew I myself, my human Kimberly Faith self, was a little bit worn out, it seemed to me, hello, sweet sister Sonia, and hello to all the gentlemen that are also on here. I know I have a lot of husbands that join as well. I was inspired to share with you some of the guidance they gave me last year. So take this, if you would, with just an understanding that these were words directly. In fact, I'm going to read some of the entries to you because I thought it would be helpful to us as we think about where we were a year ago. Because I don't know about you, but for me, that was kind of the struggle I'm having is as we inch towards a year since when some of these things have happened. I think many of us had expected either us to be through this or to see progress or to see an end in sight. And it's been a challenge to to fortify ourselves and to say, okay, keep going. Our brains are wired that way, by the way. We would rather have bad news and know when the end is coming instead of having no news. Marilyn, thanks so much for sharing the journey. It does give you hope. Well, Marilyn, that's what they were encouraging me last night, was to give hope. So this was something that they told me last February. So this is February 23rd of 2020. Okay, it goes all the way back. They were giving me guidance about the fact that there is an intensity that was happening in the world. And there was a particular phrase that stood out to me. They said, disassembling the corrupt systems in place is the order of the day. Keep developing your skills and know we are close by. More will be revealed as the path unfolds. Now, keep in mind, while I kind of knew about corrupt systems, I had no idea, as you're going to see in the journey that I'm sharing with you today. But I thought that was really interesting that they were mentioning this to me almost a year ago, February 23rd. One of the encouragements they gave me, and they talked to me a lot about the kind of food and the way I take care of the physical vessel, their PS that day was, fill the vessel with things of life. Does it have energy from the light is the guiding question for you. So I share that because they've been talking to me a lot about doing away with sugar in my life. When we're stressed, we tend to sometimes go towards things that are not healthy for us. So they continue to go back to that. So March 1st of 2020, here's what they said to me, and it really resonated because I was feeling some of this resignation over the week. That's part of why I think many of us feel weary. It says, so this is March of 2020, they were saying to me, we can feel your resignation, Kim. You are not alone. This is a temporary blip. Open up to the divine source more. You are trying to use your own energy and it is not enough. Now, I am sharing this with all of you in hopes that you can drink in from the words of wisdom. They've been very, very impactful to me on my journey, and I thought you might appreciate it. This is not the year to speed up. Trust the process. Your human self wants things to move faster than the divine timing. Trust the timing. The coronavirus is slowing everything down, so it is okay to slow some things down. The U.S. will not be ready for expansion this year due to all of the chaos and turmoil. Things are shifting more into 2021. They had a few more things to say to me, but they ended with this. All will be well, dear one. We will assist in shifting your energy today. Things are much better than they appear at first glance. The loss of income is a temporary blip, and it will all come back multiplied. Keep your energy high and your thoughts focused on the reality you do want, with the word do, D-O, in all caps. So I thought some of you might resonate with that because I know many of us have been dealing with some of these things. Now, keep in mind, what I do when I do my journal is I type this out, and sometimes it's multiple entries in a day. And you can see that the next entry was not even just a few days later. It's March 6th. And it says, we are close, Kim. This is all simply a blip on the radar screen. Watch and learn. This series of events is going to knock people out of their doldrums, and they will be seeking clarity. Keep your vibration high. Don't give in to the lower frequency. You are not a victim, remember? You've set many things in motion, and it will all come to fruition as it needs to. Trust you will have every resource exactly as you need it. All right, so I'm stepping out for a minute. So I know that resource issue is something that's on a lot of our minds. This is something that they continue to remind me of. Trust that every resource, that you will have every resource exactly as you need it. You are wondering about the virus. This was interesting. It is a wake-up call to invite people to think of others around them. So many have become blinded to everyone near them. They had become self-centered and self-absorbed. You are anxious for the personal changes ahead. You have been given heads up on several things so you don't have to experience the rug being yanked out from under you again. Don't become sucked into the human drama. Fly above the chaos, remember? It will all be okay. You knew the changes were coming, dear one. This is part of what you signed up for. So I bring this up to you. I've got a few more to read to you because my heart was really saying that not only did I need to be reminded of all of these, that I thought some of you could drink that in as well. This ability to tune in has been something that I've cultivated for 10 years, and I've learned how to do it, and I find that it is incredibly divine, incredibly pure. The fact that I'm able to write it, I actually have now hundreds of pages of insight. So I thought it was interesting that they brought up that the virus was a wake-up call. So let's go on to March 9th. March 9th, 2020. Now, I'm going to mention this next thing. I'm only bringing out a few sentences of this entry because I know that many of us with good intentions want to save other people. Can anybody resonate with that? We want to save other people. So this is what they were saying to me that day. It is all going to be fine, Kim. You were properly warned. You are not meant to save the world, and that is part of what's going on right now. You feel the responsibility to save everyone, and everyone is responsible for themselves. Well, isn't that something? You know, sometimes when we want to save people, our intention is pure, but they keep reminding me over and over because this issue of saving people has been a reoccurring theme in my life. Some of it might resonate with some of you. And they keep reminding me to honor people where they are and that they are responsible for themselves, and that's part of the lesson. And they keep coming back and saying, Kim, don't keep thinking that you have to save everybody, because when you're trying to save everybody, you're robbing them of the lesson for themselves. Isn't that an interesting perspective, right? So let me lower this just a little bit. Okay, so take that as a thought for yourself. There's a few more good ones to have, and they said just go ahead and share these things all at once. So this was fast forward to March 10th of 2020. This is a time of opportunity and growth. Do not allow the appearances of the world to blind you from the possibility. Your ability to explain things will bring others comfort. This is simply one of many things. Now listen closely to this part. This is simply one of many things that will happen to reset the global system to things and ways that are more beneficial to many. It is a way of evening the playing field and weakening the hold the dark forces have on the world. It is a good thing. The souls that leave due to the virus have made the sole choice to exit before the times of change. It is a choice, and there is no need to be sad. You are all very smart, and you're making grounded choices. Now, I thought that was interesting, and so I share that, and I know that might be a sensitive for some of us, but I share that because they keep reminding me of the fact that don't be so sucked into what's happening here in the world. Hello, Janice and Darlene. Don't be so sucked into what's happening to the world that you lose the bigger cosmic picture. So take that for what it's worth. Keep in mind, I don't always agree with my divine team. In fact, a funny story, I have met a few people that have the gift of hearing your divine team speak. And apparently I argue with God and my divine team sometimes. Some of you might. And they evidently, when I struggle with things, I tend to argue, maybe like a child, I suppose. But one woman, one time, I was pushing back on something they said, and she said, Kim, they all just went behind a door and shut the door. So the conversation is over. She says, I've never had that happen before. I share that because this has been part of my human journey as well, is figuring out how to make sense of all of these things. So I'm simply passing it along in hopes that some of these things can be, I have just 4 or 5 more, and that'll be it for today. So this is Monday, March 16th. And so I said to myself, I said in the journey and the journal entry, I was frustrated. These are my words. The entire world has changed in just a few days due to the viruses. All businesses are shutting down. Our economy is going to be decimated. Wow, how sad and sobering. I talk about the fact that we have not been able to see my mother-in-law Rose in 4 days. We were able to wave at her through the window. Whew. And I asked them, what do you have to say? So here's what they said, Monday, March 16th. 2020. We know your human side is feeling scared right now, but on a divine level, know that everything is going to be okay. This is the reset of humanity that we've been talking about. It's coming out through the virus more than physical changes, but change is here. Stay grounded, keep sending light. And here's what I want you to hear. There is going to be a lot of good on the other side of this. There's going to be a lot of good on the other side of this. We know you are frustrated because you thought you had more time to prepare. It is all going to be okay. Humanity brought this on themselves, Kim. Serve where you can, but don't wait until the drama or allow it to suck your energy. This is the result of many, many choices unfolding. People will not be ready to hear the truth for a while, but once they get past survival, there will be a window of learning. Stay the course, dear one, and know we are close by. I thought that was interesting, and I chose to share it because I wanted you to hear the good things. There is a lot of good on the other side of this. I think many of us are needing to be reminded of that for right now, okay? For right now. So on Tuesday, March 24th, this is what they had to say. And what's interesting about this entry is the fact that, so many of us have been wanting to see progress. Well, hear what they had to say. This was intriguing as I went back and read it. There is a darkness being eradicated with much fervor. The time has come for humanity to deal with these issues so light may be brought forth. There is a balance between drowning in it and being aware. You are walking on the aware side. Keep copious notes. Many will need assistance in connecting the dots because they've been blinded for so long. This is the assignment that you came here for, to assist people in waking up with compassion and kindness. I believe many of you are also on this journey as well. They said to assist people in waking up with compassion and kindness, not a sledgehammer. They will be aware of that in a sobering way already. Remember how your dark place in 2008 brought you to a new vista of understanding? This will do the same. All is well, dear one. Go through the chaos with grace, compassion, and understanding. That might be worth writing down. I want to say that again. Go through the chaos with grace, compassion, and understanding. I don't know about you, but I needed to be reminded of that. Go through the chaos with grace, compassion, and understanding. I had to chuckle about the word sledgehammer because that's what I felt like I wanted sometimes. How many of you might have felt that way when you just want to bop somebody upside the head saying, don't you get it? Don't you get it? You're going to assist people in waking up with compassion and kindness. I needed to be reminded of this as well, sweet sister. So I'm sharing these things with you as a reminder to myself as well. But they gave me a warning about conspiracy energies on Friday, March 27th. And so that's what I want to tune in. So for those of you just tuning in, these are words and messages that I have downloaded from my divine team about a year ago. And I'm sharing it with you. I only have just 2 or 3 more. Friday, March 27th, 2020. Don't buy into the conspiracy energy. Protect yourself from it instead of seeking it. Yes, some of it is true, but many things are taken to the extreme. It is the ego that gets in the way, thinking that they know something that others don't. See how easy it is to become sucked in? Good job for remembering to let it go. This is the times of change that you all have been preparing for. Give up trying to make sense of it all because it is too big. Humanity is so off the rails, and that is part of why you are all here. That's what they said. You are all here to adjust it. Yes, you, along with many others, are here on cosmic assignment. Much of this is for you to watch, not become sucked into. People are sending a lot of fretful energy into the universe. The battle is strong. You keep asking how much will be revealed. As much is needed to wake people up. The virus woke them up temporarily, and yet they are quickly going back to pettiness. Keep doing what you're doing. Honor others' ability to choose. Wow, that was something, wasn't it? So that fine line that so many, Karen, I hope you appreciated that. I thought so too. So it's reminding us all that this, for many of us, it's for us to watch this, to bear witness to it, to not become sucked into it. And I don't know about you, but that's hard sometimes, isn't it? This is why it's important for us to unplug as needed. Now, this next entry was after I had learned about a lot of the deception in the world. Keep in mind, I'd been tap dancing on it for 3 years, but I was drowned in it last March. Many because of the survivors and the victims that I had been talking to. So for some of you that I know that are new to discovering some of the dark things, I thought this next post would be helpful to you because I know I needed to hear it last April. So this was from April 2nd, 2020. We know you are spinning, Kim, at all you've discovered. All things considered, you're handling it well. You have come to a sobering understanding of the job many of you came here to do. It will be a challenging time for many, Kim. You are preparing yourself for loss, and understandably so. There is something good on the other side of this, but birthing it will be painful. How could all of this be allowed to go on, you ask? You are questioning good and evil. Okay, before I read the rest, I want you to breathe, okay? I want you to breathe through this, because they give me clarity when sometimes I'm so deep in the human drama that it's hard to pull ourselves out. So breathe as we go through this next one, dear sisters. Okay, you are questioning good and evil. Do remember, souls choose their journey when they come here. Ask for our help to make it through the 3D world while you reconcile all of this. We feel your anger and frustration. Humanity created this darkness. As you have been intuitively feeling, you collectively have fed the beast. As you have been saying, the warning signs have been all around. What is the lesson here? To see the blindness for what it was. To teach and inspire each other to move through it. To help do a global reset. Many of you have tuned into all of these things. You'll find this next one interesting. Good morning, Fran. Good morning, Bonnie. I asked them, they said, is Q real, you have asked? It took on a life of its own, raising the awareness and vibration of many. Now, before I continue, so I included that as one of many data points. So I, along this journey, have tried not to absorb any one thing. I have been trying to look at both sides of all of them. And so I tune in many times and I ask, and they said, there are many beings of light working to break the hold the darkness has. Yes, there was a team to bring down the darkness of another and to heal, as you sensed this morning. So many of you are part of the healing team. Do not lose hope as you tell others. We understand the significant overwhelm you feel at the moment. So, I wanted to share that one because I know that some people have been waking up in waves. We've got some people that woke up a few years ago, for last spring, last summer, last fall. Some are just now figuring some of these things out. I share this because I thought I really felt inspired that some of you might welcome some of these words of wisdom. I thought this was very, very intriguing. So last two, because this is it. So the last two I want to share. Actually, the last one. So here comes the last one for now. I continue to plug into them, and they give me a great deal of guidance. And so for some of you that feel like you're late to the party, you might appreciate this next one, because I knew about a lot of things, but I continue to think it was kind of far away. I did not realize how much some of the darkness that I had read about was actually still really alive in our world today. So this was last April, Sunday, April 5th, 2020. And before I downloaded what they had to say, this is what I wrote to myself. I am trying to make sense of all the staggering things that I have learned about the pedophilia ring, the darkness in Hollywood, the underground tunnels. I am asking my divine team to please tune in and to guide me. So you'll find it a little comical what they said. They said, Kim, you were a little late waking up, but you got there just in time. You, along with many, signed up for this assignment to bring more light to the darkness. Keep breathing through this, okay, sweet sisters? This is the last one. The deep corruption is staggering. The world was minutes away from destruction, but the light is winning now. I want you to hear that, but the light is winning now. You all are part of one of the most important global resets this world has ever seen. Many of you will be an instrument of healing on the other side. Yes, the darkness did have deep, deep, dark plans. Remember when you could not vote for Hillary? Your soul knew of the darkness, even if your consciousness did not. I'll comment on that in just a minute. It will all be brought out to light now. This will be a painful reset, but one with amazing things ahead. You have served your family and those close to you in a gentle way so they will not be shocked, because many will be shocked to their core. You are gently serving those on your Facebook page too. Their souls, they're talking about you now. Their souls will pick up on comments and research accordingly. You were more brave today. I guess I said something back last April. And you're going to become even more brave in the days ahead. Think of all the concerns you've had about different industries, politics, and companies that you visited. You were intuitively picking up on all of it. You, along with many, are light warriors, dear one. And yes, many women will lead the way in this new healing. Are the Hollywood stories you have discovered true? Yes, the corruption is deeper and darker than you could imagine. Keep meditating and raise your consciousness. Your internal work will assist others close to you very well. All is well, dear one. All is well. As for what is ahead, hardships as the system resets, you will all be okay. They have asked people to stay inside because of many who are programmed to harm. Much has to be unraveled. Many will need insight and guidance as to how to protect the world in the future. Brighter days are ahead, dear one. Brighter days are ahead. Okay, so that's the last one from them. So let me add just a couple of comments. So let me go back to the issue around Hillary. So I have always been a huge advocate for women in leadership positions. And when we had, back in 2016, when we had the first woman running for president, I desperately wanted to vote for a woman. And I remember being in line with my daughter, and in my soul, in my heart, I could not do it. And I was in agony because I wanted to vote for a woman. And literally, I mean, it was like a battle with myself. And so how I reconciled that day, because at the moment, at that time, I could not vote for Trump. So I was in the middle of, what do I do? Well, that year I ended up voting for a woman, but it was for one of the independent parties. They bring that up because I have certainly learned since then that she is part of a very deep, darkness. I genuinely wish I was wrong. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. I'm going to let that be revealed when the divine timing, when that is to be revealed. But I bring this up because sometimes we have a gut feeling about something and we have no data to back it up. Can any of you relate to this? We have no data to back it up, but we simply know something is off. And many times I believe that the divine and our divine teams are guiding us. What I wanted to comment on what it said at the end. It says they've asked people to stay inside because of many who are programmed to harm. Francis, some of us did not wake up about that until later. So many of us who are programmed to harm. So I bring up the words MK Ultra. If you are not aware of what that is, then that's a word you need to write down and research, okay? Research. Because that is what we're going through, and part of what's taking so long, okay? Part of what's taking so long is the fact that there is a lot of deprogramming that needs to happen. So I'll let you do the research about that. There's much more I can say about that, but remember, I'm trying to work hard, and I'm not having censored. So I'm being very careful and mindful. Listen to the different things I bring up, so that when your soul knows and says, "What is that she said?" you can do the research. There's a lot out there about these things. Please understand that the main message out of all of these messages, okay, I'm sharing with you a piece of my heart and a piece of vulnerability, because whenever I bring these things up, not only do people in my own sphere of influence do not understand how I download messages like this. I've been doing this for quite some time. I see you, Barbara. I see you, Mary Jane. For quite some time, I don't understand how these things happened either. But what I do know is that when you are able to remove the dogma and it's called MK Ultra, Mary Pat, MK Ultra. When you do remove the dogma, when you learn to fill your body with more things that are of the light, remember I talk about wheatgrass shots or green juice. I find that the more you do to make sure that your body is in alignment with your spiritual mission, that you'll begin to hear more and more. We all have this ability. But what's been happening, and someday I'll be able to explain this in a much fuller fashion, is there's been a lot of things purposely trying to interfere to keep us from connecting with our divine source. So this goes far surpast any kind of religions. It far surpasses, there's been an electronic fence that's being built across the world that we have been complicit in. We've been complicit in. And we don't understand how these things are running interference with us. That's part of why this is referred to often as an awakening, because some of us were sleeping. We weren't doing it on purpose, but we were so busy into our life and the things we were taught and what was going on. You know, it was kind of like what I shared with you way back. That's important, an important piece, Mary Pat. We were so into just the way we thought things were that we couldn't see anything else. And as I've mentioned to you, when I lost everything in 2008, I mean, that was my wake-up call. Some people are going through their wake-up call now. I'm grateful I had it 10 years ago because I remember how difficult it was. So I am not underestimating what some of you are going through at the moment. Okay. Francis, I am not 100% sure about the kids from school. Part of it is they're working to try to make us all very depressed and feel like all hope is lost. So that seems to be a difference in where you are in the world. Do remember, folks, that we are in a battle of darkness versus of evil versus goodness. We're in a battle because when our vibration goes lower and lower and lower, you know, I want you to think about like a table that's kind of neutral. When we have anger and frustration and depression and despair and lack of hope, we sink. And our vibration sinks. And when our vibration sinks, the world's vibration sinks. And we all are collectively creating this where we're sinking. Now, conversely, okay, sometimes the best we can do on difficult days is to get ourselves to a neutral position. Because at least at neutral, there's nothing bad or good, but we're not causing any ripples in the cosmic waves, so to speak. When we're increasing in vibration, that's when we feel hope and joy and passion and fun and a playfulness and love. I mean, so the higher up we get, that's part of why I personally believe that the shutting down of churches and singing was to keep us from being in that state where we connect to the divine. Francis, my heart breaks over what's happening to our elderly. You know, that's part of the struggle that I personally, Kim Faith, have been having over the past couple of weeks. I am hearing impaired. I wear 2 hearing aids. That's how I actually speak to you. That's why you don't see a mic, is because I have 2 hearing aids. For me and millions of other hearing impaired people, this past year has been difficult in a different way because our ability to communicate has been completely shut off. I have read lips my entire life. I mean, I've had a hearing impairment since I was 5 years old. I read the body language. I read the interpretation of things that are happening, and I'm always watching people's mouths. For us that are millions of us that are hearing impaired, the world has shut down. We can't figure out what is being said or how it's being said or how to even interpret. And it's been a very lonely time. And it has been difficult for me to see how little people care about any of the hearing impaired. It has been difficult for me to see how little people seem to care about the elderly because they are sinking and they're sinking. And Karen, you can relate then, Karen. It's to the point where I can't even interact sometimes with people in the other part of the world because the whole world, I can't hear a thing. And it's taken its toll on me. That was part of what I was struggling with this week. And so I could feel myself sinking. So when we think about being neutral, okay, the vibration of our kids playing outside, more teenagers. So, I mean, that's what's happening. So for us collectively, I know, Gail, I know you want to give up. It makes you feel like you want to give up. I'm with you. That's been what's been very, very difficult and sad for me. Is I know that we're concerned about people becoming sick, but it's becoming abundantly clear to me that we care more about those who are dying than some of those that are living. And so facing that, the inhumaneness of humanity has been one of my biggest challenges. I'm going to be perfectly transparent with you. That's been one of my biggest challenges right now. And so what each of us, or we're each asking us to do, I will check out that verse, Barbara, is for each of us. That's part of why we keep connecting, okay? And when I know that I'm sinking, because it feels like an anchor, sink, 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 sink. And when we're all sinking, for some of us that are empaths, you are feeling the world collectively sink. Gloria, welcome, Gloria. I'm glad to have you on the journey. Funny how the world works that way when we show up, when we interact, our paths cross just when we need it most. So part of what some of us are feeling right now is people are sinking because of at this point that it's been going on for a while. So prayer lifts us up, music lifts us up, dancing lifts us up, laughter lifts us up. So when I'm very careful of when I come on here to make sure that I have personally, because see, so many people don't understand that whatever energy we're feeling, even if we're by ourselves at home, when we are spinning and we are going down. So, I mean, like I've battled even anger this week because I'm angry that I can't communicate. I'm angry that people don't seem to care about those of us that are struggling. I'm angry that we don't see the sadness and the humanness and the despair that are happening. Music and comedy, Francis, you're exactly right. I will say that I've never been a fan of TikTok, but right now I need dancing video. I need dancing videos. I need that to bring it up. But when we're by ourselves, we don't realize that even when we're spinning down, that is our individual wave in the collective cosmic wave. So I knew I was sinking a bit over the past couple of days. Sometimes it's because we've allowed ourselves to have sugar. Sometimes it's because we're having trouble with family. Sometimes it's because we're being rejected by those in our circle of influence that don't want to hear about our divine teams. Sometimes it's because we're battling whatever it might be that we're battling, survival issues. I mean, we can easily sink, easily sink. So the challenge for all of us is to figure out how do we keep raising each other. So I'm very careful before I come on here. I don't come on unless I've done a better job personally of raising myself back up. And there's a fine line between my sharing myself personally and being vulnerable with you and dumping my stuff on you. When my divine team knew I didn't have the energy to be able to get on for the past 2 days. And I was like, what do you want me to do? I know my sisters are waiting and I care deeply about them all, but what do you want me to do? And that's when they took me back to the journal. They took me back to the things in the journal. And they said, we've got you. There's a lot of wisdom that you, Kimberly Faith, need to be reminded of as well. So that's what I did. I went back here. And I got myself recalibrated today, knowing that I needed some time off this afternoon to re-energize myself. And luckily I'm alone today, so I can be completely alone and safe in an emotional space and just figure out how to light some candles, put on some music, do some things to be able to go up. I know some of you, I'm going to be talking tomorrow about how we turn on our spiritual faucets. I've dealt with anger this week as I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Dear one, Sharon, I will send you prayers. I go back and I pray for many of you as I go back and look through your comments. I will talk more tomorrow about tuning in spiritually. Some of you have a deep faith and some of this will completely resonate. Some of you might not have had a faith and you may not understand, but if there's anything that's tugging at your heart, I ask you to stay connected. There's no accidents in the way the world aligns our paths at times that we need it. People will either have just the right word or say something that we needed to hear. And I genuinely hope that something that my divine team might have brought you some peace or calmness today. I do want to remind us all as I get ready to sign off here. I do want to remind us all that the overarching message through all of this, and I don't want you to lose sight of this, okay? They were talking about the reset of humanity. I found it so fascinating to go back and read these words because I sometimes don't remember what I write because I'm writing so fast. They keep reminding us that there's a lot of good on the other side of this. They keep reminding us that things are going to be okay. And I really want to keep coming back to that for each of us. So I hope that this video and this message today can help elevate you a little bit, to take it away. Maybe you want to go back and listen to what the divine team had to say. It's always a little bit of a vulnerable piece for myself and my heart to share with you some of the deepest conversations, the most intimate conversations that they're having with me. But we are in this together. And so for each of us, thank you, Janice, for each of us, dear ones. And you all are welcome to call me Kim, by the way. My friends call me Kim. So you all are welcome to call me Kim. So I'm sending you off with some smiles, with a virtual hug, and knowing that you are not alone. There is hope for us all, and cling on to some love here today, sweet sisters, okay? You are precious, precious, precious to me. It is raining outside and gray and there's no sunshine in sight. So it'll be down here for a few video days, but that's okay because the lights are still on in each one of our hearts. Sending you all much love. Until next time.